Mommy's back, and we're reading Curious George and the Firefighters, Part 2. Just like that, the fire truck and all the firefighters pulled up to a pizza parlor on Main Street. Smoke was coming out of a window in the back, and a crowd was gathering in the street. "Thank goodness you're here," cried the cook. You see? The firefighters rushed off the truck and started unwinding their hoses. They knew just what to do, and George was ready to help. One of the firefighters saw George trying to help, and he took George by the arm and led him out of the way. "A fire is no place for a monkey," he said to George. "You stay over here where it's safe." George felt terrible. George sat on the bench and looked around. Next to him on the ground was a bucket full of balls. George reached in and took one out. It fit in his hand just like an apple. You see George? What kind of balls did he find? Yep, they're baseballs. A little girl was watching George. He tried to give her the ball, but she was too frightened. George took another ball and another. "Look," said a boy, "that monkey's juggling." Look at George juggling the balls. The boy took a ball from the cage and tossed it to George, but it went too high. Ooh. George climbed up onto the fire truck to get it. Yay! Now George had 4 balls to juggle. He threw the balls higher and higher. He juggled with his hands. He juggled with his feet. He could do all kinds of tricks. The boy threw another ball to George. George threw a ball back to the boy. The little girl reached down to pick up a ball too, and soon all of the children were throwing and catching back and forth. The fire chief came to tell everyone that the fire was out. Yay! Just then a little girl laughed and said, "Look, Mommy, a fire monkey." "Hey," called the fire chief, "what are you doing up there?" "What a wonderful idea," said the little girl's mother, "bringing this brave little monkey to help children when they're frightened." "Oh, yeah," the fire truck said. Oh, yeah," the fire chief said. "Well, thank you." See George in the truck? Before long, the fire truck was back at the firehouse, where a familiar voice called, "George!" It was the man with the yellow hat. "This little monkey had quite an adventure," said one of the firefighters. "Is everyone all right?" asked Mrs. Gray. "Yes, it was just a small fire," said the fire chief, "and George was a big help." Now the field trip was coming to an end, but there was one more treat in store. What do you think that is? All the children got to take a ride around the neighborhood on the shiny red fire truck, and they each got their very own fire helmet, even George. And it was just the right size for a brave little monkey. The end. I hope you enjoyed listening. George says, "Thanks. I hope you enjoyed my story." Woof, 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 woof. Woo, 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 woo. George the fire monkey says, "Good night, guys."